welcome back to the Facebook Live Lighthouse Addictions Topic Show. I am your host for today, Joe, and I'm here with a very special guest, Chuck Service. And I just wanted to make an announcement that we are here every Thursday at 3 p.m. You can just go ahead and go on facebook.com/lighthouse treatment and you'll find us live, touching on various topics regarding addiction and recovery. And also, you're more than welcome to feel free and ask questions during our live talk show. You can go ahead and make comments below with questions or just shout outs. And during the time of our talk show, I'll go ahead and look at my phone and see if there's any comments or questions. We'll be happy to answer them and also shout you out if you're giving us a shout out as well. So our topic today is a successful life after treatment. So if you're new to recovery, freshly out of a program, considering going into treatment, or just curious on what life after treatment could look like, please stay with us and join in on our conversation. So like I said earlier, I'm here with Mr. Chuck C. I just want to tell a little bit of a story. We actually met through school, where we are both furthering our education in the field of drug and alcohol studies and recovery. And I mentioned the Lighthouse to him, and it turned out that a few years ago, Chuck was actually associated with the Lighthouse. So it was really fate that we met each other, right? So Chuck, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us where you're from, what you do, and how were you associated with the Lighthouse?
Well, my name is Charles C. I'm actually from Lakewood, but I lived in Long Beach, and I was associated with the Lighthouse because I was a client here in 2011, and because of the Lighthouse, I've learned so many things. I'm forever grateful, and actually really am excited to be here today with you. Yeah, I'm really excited. This is actually really it's a pleasure to be here. It's quite the experience.
Good. And how did you say how you were associated with the White House? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was a client here.
You were a client here.
Yeah,
okay.
Back in 2011, I was a client here.
So you did come through our program. So 2011. So that's about 5 or so years ago, right?
A little over 5 years, yes.
Oh wow. Okay. So in which case that would make you an alumni or a graduate of our facilities program. So would you like to share your history with drugs and alcohol? Do you feel comfortable doing that?
Completely.
Okay. Cool. Let's hear it.
Completely okay with that. Let's see, so I started using drugs at early age, around my teens, I think around 14 or 15. I was primarily smoking marijuana at first, and it progressively got worse into crystal methamphetamines, alcohol, and Xanax. And just like anybody's stories, it was detrimental to me. Like I always say, it felt like one long continuous day, and just that lifestyle was crazy.
Right.
You know, I always had to watch my back. I didn't know if it was the police at my door or it was people trying to get me at my door. And I'm pretty sure a lot of that had to be like my meth-induced psychosis.
Right.
Right. I was pretty raw at that time. But at the same time, I'm actually really grateful for those experiences. I'm really grateful for my addiction, for the things that I went through, and because it was able to get me to a place where I am today. And that's a completely grateful person, aspiring to do so many things, and I'm just happy that it actually happened. I always say that because of those struggles, because of those things that I've gone through, it made me have to grow. It made me have to grow up, and it made me have to experience those certain things to get to that level where I feel like I'm in complete homeostasis in my life. So. Okay,
so what I'm hearing from you is that you going into recovery was a big catalyst for the changes in your life.
Completely, yeah.
Okay, and that's a really good attitude to have. Attitude of gratitude.
Right? Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Yeah, I can't believe that someone who's telling me that, I used to be a meth addict or a hardcore drug abuser, and my life was this and that, and it was horrible. Be able to say today that I'm grateful for everything that I have experienced. Like, that's amazing. So anyways, how did the Lighthouse help you in your recovery?
Well, the Lighthouse, at first I didn't want to do any treatment. The Lighthouse helped me in numerous ways from coming here. At first I was really withdrawn. I didn't want to do anything, but I saw this spark here with a lot of the staff and a lot of my peers. I think I came at a right time where I had the clients that were here were just on point, right? They're like, a lot of them were all about the recovery, and from there you build this camaraderie, you build this like friendship of people, and because I had that friendship of people, I was able to step outside my comfort zone. They were able to push me in a way where I couldn't believe that I was able to go into. You know, completely scared at first, and then you find these guys that are just really into the recovery. And then only that, the staff here is amazing. I related with so many people on so many different levels, and just the energy that I had here. And on top of that, you know, like simple things like washing dishes, making your bed, those things are so important, right? Because that kept me accountable. That put me on a schedule. And then when you think about it too, like the way that groups are around here and the way that the program runs, you know, you wake up at a certain time. I woke up every day. No one had to come wake me up. I woke up every day at 5 o'clock. I remember doing that. Oh my gosh, that's so early. Every day at 5 o'clock. No one had to come get me out, and at that point I was, you know, I started becoming more serious about things. Yeah. Right. Went to the gym. From there we started doing groups, and then after that we had lunch. Then we did more groups, and then after that we would have some free time and then dinner. Right. So it was like preparing me for life and for work.
It gave you that structure.
It gave me that structure, exactly. So I'm forever grateful for that. And that was just the start of things. Yeah. Right? I think I only did 60 days here, so it's like that was just the beginning of things here. And because of the Lighthouse, because I was able to relate with so many people, it made me feel like I was at home. Yeah. And that's something that no one can really take away. And I still feel like I'm home when I come here. You know, I meet people, I see people. It's just it's great.
Okay, so from our previous conversations, just between the two of us, you did tell me that this was not your first. Or coming to the Lighthouse was not your first rodeo. No,
absolutely not. I actually went through 2 other treatment centers. One I tried to do on my own, and that didn't really work out too well. I tried to get sober in Hawaii, and that didn't work out at all.
Really?
Yeah, I tried to get. Yeah, it just didn't work out. My version of getting sober was just drink. I was just alcohol. So I wanted to.
You switched one addiction for another.
Pretty much. Okay. So I thought that as long as the crystal meth and I can't find anything here, alcohol is enough for me. Yeah. And I drank myself, you know, completely insane. Where I remember calling my mom back, you know, I was just asking her to bring me home, you know, and I couldn't do it over there. And I realized the thing is too, it wasn't actually the place, because the Hawaii is beautiful, right? It was me. I was not ready to change at all. Right.
So you did mention your mom. How was your family involved in your treatment, and how did they continue to support you in terms of long-term recovery?
Mom, if you're watching this, I'm going to say it right now.
Oh dear, hold on one second. Let me just, okay, now I see that we're live, so we're not, earlier, sorry, we were experiencing some technical difficulties, so I just want to make sure that I'm able to see if anybody is commenting or asking questions. So go ahead.
So,
Mom, hi.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. My mom was very supportive in my life. She was always there anytime I needed anything, anytime I needed help. She was always there. But she also did the thing where it's like when I was too much, where she couldn't handle me anymore, where she realized that, Chuck, you really have a problem, she cut me off completely. She told me I could not come home. Until I finished treatment, until I got my life together, she would not have me back at the house. My dad, at a very early age, always told me, you always have to do the right thing. And he tells me that even up till today, to do the right thing. And sometimes, for me, that's a difficult thing to do. Right. Because I still sometimes wake up and I don't fold my bed. You know, I'm in a rush, right? I do these things. I still have some things that I still work on. Right, but my mom and my dad were very, very supportive, and they paid so much money for me to go through treatment. And I'm forever grateful for that, because without that, I wouldn't know where I'd be.
Let's consider it a good investment.
Yeah, I think it was a stellar investment.
Yes,
I know a lot of people in treatment don't have that. Yeah. That's the thing. A lot of people don't have that, and I was very fortunate by the grace of God to have such a loving family that had. Their full support in what I was trying to do. And even now they're amazing. They have my back like a tailbone in everything that I do. They're completely supportive. And also to my brother is, if it wasn't for my brother, I remember when I got out of treatment, my brother brought me this Shamrock Shake. I had stolen a lot of money from my brother.
Shamrock Shake?
Yeah, he brought me the Shamrock Shake from McDonald's.
Oh.
McDonald's, the Shamrock Shake. You get this from McDonald's, right? It was like March. I don't know if you remember this. Yeah.
All right, I understand.
And and this was when I first got out of treatment, and I remember him taking me through the drive-thru and buying me the Shamrock Shake. And I just stolen a lot of money from my brother. I opened up an account in his name and sold all these things in his name, and he was extremely angry. And then after treatment, he bought me the Shamrock Shake, and then he tells me, he goes, "Hey man, this is for you. I know you don't want anything, but this is for you." And I remember saying, "Oh Ryan, I don't want anything. I felt really guilty inside, right?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Hey Chuck, you know what? You're already paying me back."
Oh.
Yeah, and I was just like small things like that really blow me out. And my brother, like me and him, we have a great relationship. We're both like really hardcore geeks. He's like we have fun. We make fun of each other. It's really playful. We go out, and so it's something special to me to have my family in that sense. To have such a loving family. And the thing is too, like the fact that they were ready to cut me off.
Yeah.
That helped a lot too. They were ready to just to go. We don't want you a part of our lives if you're going to continue to do this to yourself.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing: I always had a place to go back home to, but I chose to be on those streets.
Yeah.
I chose to be gone for months on end without saying anything. I chose to put myself through motel rooms, like office spaces, wherever I could find real estate to smoke dope in. That's what I was doing. But I always had a place to go home. They always were welcoming, wanting me to come home. I just didn't want to do it. So.
Okay, so our alumni program is relatively new. Actually, it's only a couple of years old.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you graduated more than 5 years ago, you were only recently introduced to our alumni program. So what do you think about it so far? And how are you involved in it?
I think the alumni program here is amazing. I can't really compare it to anything else, but I think it's because this is the only program that I've completed all the way through and have thus stayed successful within my sobriety all the way through thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Thus far. But the alumni here is like family. There's a lot of the people here that I've met, that I've taken on panels, that I've sponsored, right? And I come here every Sunday just to reach out to these people and talk to them and hear their struggles and hear their stories.
Yeah.
Like their stories are what really motivates me, because not only am I up there telling what's going on with me or what I went through within my history of substance abuse, I get to hear it from other people too. So that builds that commonality, that builds that where I can relate with people, and that's then you create more friendships, right? And you have a broader sobriety network, right? So it's an amazing thing. I encourage people that are just coming or just leaving the Lighthouse or discharging successfully, come back to Alumni.
Right.
Because of that, I was able to venture out through so many different avenues, right? To keep me not only accountable, but to help me in my sobriety.
So you include the alumni program now in your routine or your recovery?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I would say I do. It's every Sunday I'm here.
Yeah.
Right, and I love it. I love the people here. It's I almost use it as a meeting replacement, if you will.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And the thing is, even though you weren't aware that there was an alumni program, since you've been involved, you have really set a great example for our current clients and even the new alumni or the freshly graduates of our program. Right. Just because of how successful.
Well, thank you, Joe. Oh my God, did you hear that? That's amazing.
You're very. I mean, success honestly is so subjective, and it's really like. Person to person thing, like it really depends on what success looks like for you. But in terms of success and recovery, I think you're really doing it. You're doing it very well and great, and you're a great example to everybody. So yeah, thank you.
Wow, did you hear that compliment? Oh my God, it's amazing.
So, what motivates you to succeed?
Well, the thing is, if we're going to talk about success economically, I'm still far off that. There's no way. There's no way.
It's okay. Baby steps.
Baby steps. But for me, success is a sense of fulfillment. And with if there's no fulfillment and I'm succeeding, then it's actually failure. So I have to feel that sense of fulfillment in everything that I'm doing. The only reason why I can say I feel successful thus far is because I'm into action. That's what I do. And not just any action. I mean immediate, massive action in everything that I do.
What do you mean?
As far as I have this thing where I have a routine that I do every day, right? And that means going out and doing things that I'm uncomfortable with doing. If I'm growing, then to me that's succeeding, because I'm putting myself in situations. I'm putting myself in places where I have to talk to people. I'm putting myself in situations where I have to like go out and speak in front of hundreds of people.
And these situations are always challenging, but that's how you know that you're growing. And there's, it's helping you to become a better person because you're being challenged. And it could be a little bit uncomfortable, but that discomfort is...
I use that,
it's a tell that it might be good for you. This is going to help you grow.
Right.
All right, so you were saying about you have a routine. What is a productive day and or week in the life of a recovering alcoholic addict look like? Like, I'm sorry, what is a productive
week?
Yeah, there we go.
Well, Sundays is my absolute don't talk to anybody day. That's what
Alumni.
Except for Alumni, I try not to do anything. I need at least one day of rest, which I've actually been neglecting recently. And I had a big whole thing this week about self-care. And that's something that I have to remember. Self-care for me is extremely important.
For anybody.
For anyone. Not just you're an alcoholic or an addict or anything. Self-care,
especially for newly recovering individuals.
So I take one day where I don't do a thing. I'll watch Netflix. I'll chill out with my dog or my cats. Right? I participate in restorative isolation. I'll go out on, just out with people and have fun. And I play, some video games here and there. That's really fun for me too. I go out. I do rock climbing. And that's my day. Sundays is my day during the daytime where I can just relax and just do me. And maybe read a good book or something like that to kind of restore myself for the week. Come Monday, that's when my daily grind, comes into play. But I don't see it as a grind. I see it as time for me to everything that I've learned throughout the week. It's time for me to take those things that I've learned throughout the week and now apply those things. Right. So starting with Monday, I work in treatment. I work as a treatment technician, as well as a group facilitator, as well as a lecturer, and as well as a motivational speaker. So I have numerous speaking engagements throughout the week. I do numerous panels. I do a panel every Thursday night, right? And I do speaking engagements throughout Southern California. And then I also do outreaches as well. Right. And then in the middle of that, like I usually come home maybe around 4 or 5 if I have somebody I have to meet up with to talk whatever I have to about recovery, meet up with my sponsor, meet up with my sponsee. I'm continuously in connection and talking to people, asking how they're doing, asking them about their stories, interviewing people without them even knowing that I'm interviewing them. Doing things like that for myself. And then I read a lot of books. That's another thing too. I read a lot of books. Leaders are readers. That's what I believe in. So I read so much, and the thing is, it becomes like almost an obsession where I do that because I want to educate myself and not just not just Alcoholics Anonymous, but all different modalities in treatment. So.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing a lot from you is that really you've found your passion in helping others and paying it forward from your entire experience in recovery. So it's very
I guess you could say that,
yeah, because that is what you do. Is you're constantly helping others, whether it is group facilitating, working in treatment, or sponsoring men and just
just men,
sponsoring men and just reaching out in general to other struggling alcoholics and addicts. Right? Good for you. So,
thanks, Joe.
So our topic today is a successful life after treatment.
Okay.
What does a successful 72-hour plan look like to somebody who was just discharging from treatment?
So that's an interesting question, actually. Because I do remember one of the groups that we had to do here at the Anaheim Lighthouse was a 72-hour plan.
Right.
And the 72-hour plan, you can either BS it and just put whatever you want, or you can take it serious. Most clients that I've seen usually BS it.
Okay.
I also BS'd it, just to be honest. But looking back at it, a successful 72-hour plan, if you're coming right out of treatment and getting right back into, have it be sober living, have it be back to your house or wherever you come from, is to get connected right away. Number one thing is get connected. Unpack your things, pick up the phone, get in the directory, start talking to people, hit a meeting right away. And when you hit that meeting, say that I'm new here and I need some help to get connected with people. And I guarantee if you're at that meeting, somebody will help you out. That's very important. After that, it depends if you're going back to a job or not. If you're coming back to family, there's all different nuances that you can do, right? But another thing is to get into a routine, right? 72 hours, I don't think it's enough time to get into a set routine, right? But it's the starting point. It's the start of something. So everything that you've learned at the Lighthouse or in treatment, whatever, now those things have to come into practice, right? We have to unlearn the things that we've learned, right? All the knowledge that we've gained here, right? So I always say, they always say knowledge is power, and I think that's utter crap. Application is power. We have to apply. Action. Absolutely. Immediate, massive action. I always say that. So getting a plan, getting things in order, structuring things. If you have to journal it. If you have to write it down, write it down. I always have to write things down.
Oh yeah, I just started journaling.
Yeah, too. Completely. You got to write things down.
Helping me so much. Okay, so when you leave treatment, sometimes you go back to your old environment, or even just going to your family, or even seeing like old friends that may not be addicts or using, and sometimes you have to deal with reputations or your past bad choices. Like, how do you deal with reputation, bad choices, or destructive remnants from your life in active addiction?
That is a complicated question.
It is a bit complicated.
That's a complicated question.
I'm curious.
You know what? I've never actually been in a position where I actually went back to my destructive past. I have cut off all ties completely. I've actually had people try calling me to see if they wanted to take because they were trying to pass a drug test and asking for my clean piss. And I say no. Okay. I've actually had that before. But all those things I had to X out completely. There are moments where I have sober friends that are out drinking or whatever, and I'm in those situations. But after some time, you're able to just let people do their things. And it's funny, too, because in those situations, they'll be cautious at first. They're like, Chuck doesn't drink or anything like that. Are we allowed to? It's like, no, it's fine. Right? You start to get comfortable. You start to get to a point in your recovery where it's strong enough mentally, but spiritually, really important, where you can just let things flow around you. I've actually never had to be in a position where I go back to something so detrimental as my past life, which I'm fortunate for. One thing, I don't want anything to do with it because I decided to destroy my past self and, recreate anew. I constructed this mother effer right here. I constructed it. I had to. I had no choice. So
I think actually what I was trying to ask was, like, how do you rebuild from your past destruction? So, like, financially, reputation, right? How do you rebuild from that? When you get out of treatment, then you're faced with okay, so Joe was known as this drug addict, and then she also put herself in so much financial debt because of her drug addiction, and she set this house on fire, or she stole these cars and she has to deal with court. Like, how do you, for somebody who's just getting out of treatment, having to deal with those things, do you have any advice?
Yeah.
What do you think?
So if you work the steps,
right,
you'll realize that in the 9th step, we have to take care of a lot of that kind of stuff, right? So all the earlier steps are meant there for a reason, right? It's to condition us and to get us ready for that 9th step. Okay, if I have, say, an insane debt that I have to pay off and it's being garnished, it's going to be garnished. Right. It's going to happen. That's something that I couldn't do. So now, God or somebody else is doing it for me. Those things I have to take care of. If I've hurt somebody, I have to make sure that I make some type of amends with them when they're ready to, or if I'm ready to, right? There's certain things that we do only through action. So if it wasn't for action, right, then nothing would happen. I'm not just going to sit here and just like have things just come my way, like, oh, here's a job, right, or here's a home. No, I have to get into work. I have to get into immediate massive action. And when I get into action, people will start to see that, like, oh, Chuck's actually doing something. Same thing with my mom. Oh, he's actually doing really well right now. I'm actually going to help him out. I'm actually okay with him where he's at right now. So you build that, not even like like you have this horrible reputation, right? So you're rebuilding a new one. Almost like you're rebranding yourself in a sense, right? You're creating this whole new person, and you're only doing that through spiritual principles, right? When we're actually connected with people. People actually are happy to be around. You've built rapport with people, right? I build rapport and with my family and my brother yet, once again. So it takes some time. It doesn't happen overnight. Even for me, there are still some relationships that I'm working on, but at the same time, they're open and they see what I'm doing, right? They see me in action. They see me helping, helping out other alcoholics. They see me speaking and they see me reaching out. So it's those things that can actually help us rebuild.
Because actions do speak louder than words.
Completely, yeah.
And if you are, if you're about to discharge treatment or you're newly just graduating from a treatment program and you are bombarded with all the stresses of life, because, life on life's terms, you will see that there's a lot of things that you have to actually deal with. I would just want to say, take it one day at a time. Don't stress yourself too much.
Right.
And find a sponsor or somebody who has dealt with everything that you're dealing with currently, and see what advice they have for you, and they can walk you through it. So I just want to ask, speaking of stress, how do you deal with life stresses or stressful situations?
I think stress is okay. There's a healthy type of stress, right? Like planning a vacation, that's a healthy type of stress, right? And then there's also stress where you're like, oh, I got to pay this bill.
Oh,
right,
gosh,
where you're just like, I don't want this to happen.
I really hate that one.
Those stressful such situations, I try not to go with my initial reaction. I try to wait like maybe my 5th or 6th reaction, right?
What do you mean?
Like I'll give it some
I'm
time.
curious.
I'll give it some time and some thought. I don't like to react right away. So if I get into a stressful situation, then I do things to de-stress myself, right? Have that be reading a book, playing with my cat or my dog, talking to somebody that's also going through a stressful time and relating with that person. There's numerous things I can do. I take a walk, right? I leave a stressful situation to go into a situation where it's less stressful or it's just completely has nothing to do with it. I just forget about what's going on, so I can come back in the mindset, right, at a peak state where I can actually decide what to do in there. Because I don't like making decisions when I'm stressed out or if I'm angry or if I'm just in disarray. I come back to that situation and I make sure I'm at this peak state physically, mentally, and spiritually. And then from there, I can reapproach again. You always want to take yourself, because when you keep doing these certain things.
Sorry, I think you have a comment, but go ahead.
When you keep doing these certain things over and over, and it's just going to keep building on that stress over and over and over again, right? Yeah. So, do you have a comment?
We do have a comment. So we have Tammy. Hey, Tammy. She says, you are such an asset to the alumni program. I think that is to you. So hi, Tammy.
Hello.
We have something from Shane. You two are a great part of the Lighthouse and Alumni.
Wow.
Hi, Shane.
Hi, guys.
So I just
How
want
awesome is that?
That is really awesome.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions, or if you're just joining us, my name is Joe. I'm sitting here with Chuck, who is an alumni from our treatment program. And we are here every Thursday at 3 p.m. on Facebook.com/Lighthouse Treatment. And this is just a little talk show. We try to have a conversation, just touching on various addiction and recovery topics. And yeah, we would love to hear from all of you. So you're more than welcome to join in on this conversation.
Yeah, this is actually really fun right now.
Yeah, so we have a lot of fun. Yeah, and so we're just going to go ahead and continue. I'm interviewing Chuck right now. So do you want to give a little, if anybody's just joining us, you want to give a little spiel on who you are and what you do? And
yeah, my name is Charles C. I'm from Lakewood, Long Beach area. I'm a treatment technician. I work in treatment. I'm a group facilitator and a motivational speaker. I do numerous speaking engagement throughout Southern California, and I'm here today speaking on this talk show about substance abuse and how to be successful, in your recovery after treatment.
And he is the perfect person to be interviewed for this topic. Why? Because he is actually an alumni, a graduate from our program.
I was a client here.
He has over 5 years clean and is he has himself been a big success. So yeah, we're just asking him some questions that may help somebody else who is newly recovering or just fresh out of treatment. So, do you still have cravings for alcohol or drugs? And if so, how do you prevent or deal with those?
If I'm not working a program, if I'm not doing anything, which has happened within the last 5 years, I'm not going to say it was all, it's like that EKG, right? It's got to be up and down, up and down. It's not, if it's all the way up, it's not good. If it's all the way down, you're dead, right? So it's just like this steady slope up and down. So I do have these downs, right? And I've had moments where I would say my third year sobriety where I wanted to use. Right? Those things do happen, given stressful situations, because the thing is, what happens in life are these clutch moments. I like to call them clutch moments. Family member dies, pet dies, right? Job loss, breakup, divorce. Those things are going to happen,
right,
regardless if you want it to or not, right? So we have to make sure that we're spiritually prepared for those situations. Right, and if we're not spiritually prepared, then all of a sudden everything just comes, crashing down completely. And for me, I remember a time where I was actually parked in front of a liquor store for a good 30 minutes, contemplating, thinking about, I can probably get away with this one time. I was not working a program at the time. I was in a detrimental relationship. I was facing job loss. These things were happening, and my way to cope was, I can get away with this just once. No one's gonna know. Right, so I call first thing, like instinct, with just instinct. What my sponsor told me was call. So I start calling people, and I call my sponsor, and he doesn't answer the phone. And I go down the line, and I'm still calling people, and no one's answering the phone. Right, so it comes to probably like the 8th person, and I remember meeting this guy at a meeting, and this guy probably had like 14 or 13 days clean, and he goes, "Hey Chuck, stay right there. I'm coming right now."
Oh wow! So somebody actually
That's
significantly less time than you picked up the phone in your time of need and
came. I talked to him like he was my sponsor. He had 7 years clean, went out. He had a divorce. Oh, okay. Right, and then he went through the program again. And I talked to him about everything, and then right then and there, I realized right now I'm starting to plateau. I'm not working any type of program. I got to get back into it. I got to get back into action. I got to go back to meetings. I have to start working spiritually. I got to get on my knees and pray before my disease brings me to my knees, which is really important for me to do. I have to do these certain things in my life. So, like I said, people are going to have cravings, right? It's going to happen, especially early in recovery. The first 18 months, like your brain is still like Swiss cheese. It's still developing again, right? It is.
I just had the
it's still developing again. It's just you're trying to learn these new things. And the thing is too, like when you're happy and everything's okay, like everything's great, you're happy. Of course you're gonna work a stellar program, right? And of course you're gonna pray and you're gonna do all these things. But once the clutch moments happen. Right. Are you going to pray? Are you going to say thanks to God? Are you going to get on your knees? Are you going to go to meetings? No. Usually they don't. And that's when everything just goes away. And
that's when you should, most of all.
Yeah, that's when you should. That's when it's important. Yeah. So that's why I stress out. Like, even for me, like, I have some time clean, but at the same time, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. So I have to make sure that I'm spiritually, most importantly, and mentally prepared for those situations that when they do happen, because they will happen.
Yeah, that's absolutely. The thing. If you're new to recovery, understand that we all suffer. As an addict myself, we all suffer from the disease of drug and alcohol addiction. But I like to tell people that are new in recovery that you have unlimited resources. You can go to meetings that are free, and you can get a sponsor. And if it's not AA, you can do other things too. Smart recovery. Yeah, there's a whole recovery and
rational recovery. There's a whole lot of things that you can do.
Really see what works for you. And
I think also because there's all these resources, because we have the internet is endless and there's meetings every day. But it's not just having resources. You have to also be resourceful. It doesn't matter if there's a resource. If you're not resourceful, if you're not using them, it won't matter. So, do we have a?
We do. Chuck, from Shane? Hi, Shane. Do you use contrary action in your life, and how or why? Could you explain to us what contrary action?
Contrary action to me is whatever it is that I want to do, I probably should not do, and I use that. I do use that in my life because a lot of the times my crazy head will tell me to do certain things, right? Or it will tell me like if I'm having a disagreement with somebody, it's gonna tell me to want to punch him in the face. Right. Don't do that. So contrary action is just me like, you know what? Maybe instead of being judgmental right away of myself or other people, maybe I should just remain curious and ask myself, what's this guy actually going through? Right. Is there something in his life that's bothering him? right? If I remain curious, then the judgment goes away. So that's how I do things as far as even with contrary action. I try to stop for a second and realize, hey, what you're about to do, don't do that, because that's going to get you into a lot of trouble. And everything that you've worked for, everything that you've done, it's just like it's a snowball effect from there.
I know in my own life, when I'm feeling negative feelings, when I'm feeling positive feelings, I don't typically use contrary action because I want to continue on a positive streak.
Yeah.
But when I'm feeling like negative, if I'm feeling a little bit lazy or feeling a little bit depressed, I don't want to get out of bed, I will think of doing contrary actions. Get your butt out of bed, Joe.
Yeah. Completely.
Go to the gym.
I need to do that too.
Go do yoga. Go talk to a friend. Go bother Chuck.
Usually, there's some days too where I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to people today. That's what I say in my head. Like, I don't want to talk to anybody. And I get myself out of that state by just moving around, trying to get in my car, start driving, just get into and then after that, I do that meeting roulette. I just try to find a meeting in the local area. A lot of times, I don't want to do a lot of things. I just want to do Chuck, and that's it. Right? But we know that has no growth. There's no growth in just doing me. I have to contribute in a meaningful way beyond myself to feel like I'm growing. So with that said, I think contrary action extremely important. That's something we should practice, and I still practice.
Yeah, and I just wanted to also touch. How about the tools in the toolbox
the tools and the toolbox that I've learned in recovery.
Treatment. But one second, I just want to give a shout out. Hi, Jim. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Kelsey. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, tools. Tools in our toolbox. What we learn in treatment. How do we apply it to the real world? What are some tools that you've learned or put in your toolbox?
The number one thing that I've learned within treatment and just going through AA and through meetings was humility, realizing that I was not the answer to anything. That was really important for me to understand because as a lot of males go, we tend to get these really big egos and we want people to follow us. So realizing that I am not the answer, I am not the cure. Even with my sponsees, I want them to know, look, I'm here to help you and to get through these steps. I'm not anything else besides that. Right, so humility played an important role too, because at any given time, all this can be actually taken away from me, but the person that I'm becoming, nobody can take away. So I have to remember that. Another thing that's in my toolbox is structure. Was learning how to get into a healthy structure, knowing how to build rapport, right, with people, with strangers, getting outside my comfort zone and talking to people. There's so many things that are in my toolbox right now that it's crazy because they evolve and they change. You actually learn something and then from there you can take it to the next level. And for me it was humility, being on a routine, right? Talking to people, reaching out when you're hurt or you're wanting to use, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend have broken up with you, reaching out, getting with another alcoholic or an addict, speaking at meetings, these types of things are important into our recovery. And then not only that, like living in balance, like living a healthy lifestyle, eating correctly, which I do not at all. I probably should do. We try. I probably should do, but it's difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, these things, and then not only that, like building healthy relationships. If you want to get where it's good, go to where it's better. You want to be around with better people that will not just you see a higher standard, so you want to automatically raise your standard by being around people that are better. It's like if you're playing basketball and you're playing against somebody that's better than you, automatically your game has to go up because you're playing with somebody better than you.
Absolutely. Right?
So I want to get around to where it's better. I don't know if that makes sense. So,
no, I completely understand. Yeah. You just want to be to par with
your
environment or your surroundings.
So I want to get in that, and that means you're around people in the program or AA, or you want to get stick with the winners. Exactly, stick with the winners. That's something that I stress to everybody that's new in recovery. You got to stick with the winners. And the thing is, you'll see those people. Yeah. They will stand out. You will know right away who the winners are.
Right.
Right.
I was actually just telling one of our current clients that is that you will see who's actually working a program because they have a light in their eyes.
There's an energy.
They have a peace in their heart. They're just serene because they're comfortable with themselves. They've done the work. They've had the healing.
Right.
They continue to heal, and you could definitely see a difference between that and somebody who's still very, very broken. But then again, that's why we're here. We're here to help you. Get unbroken, help you heal yourself. And we're here for you. However, we're gonna close it up in a little bit, but I just want to ask you a couple more questions. Okay. In general, how has the quality of your life, including personal relationships with others, changed since you got sober and went through the Lighthouse Treatment Center?
I always like to say my personal life, in sobriety now, one of the best things that I ever gotten in sobriety is that my mom and my dad can actually lay their heads down at night and sleep.
Oh.
That is something that nobody can take away from me. That was something I was able to give them. Same thing with my brother. Same thing with numerous family members. That's something that, because I'm in this, I'm all in, completely all in. And I work spiritual principles, and I do so to the best of my ability, on a daily basis. Even sometimes when I don't want to, I was able to get these things back into my life. My relationships have, I have people that ask me for help, which blows me away because I never thought that I'd be the person that people are asking me for help. People are asking me to sponsor them. People are asking me to come speak at meetings. People are asking me to speak at different universities, at Pacific Gateway and all these different places. And it blows me away when I'm asked to speak and people are wanting to see how I did it. Because honestly, I'm just doing what I feel is right. Right? If somehow that floods into other people, then I feel like something is working. And that's me contributing in a meaningful way beyond myself. That's me working my 12th step. And that's enough. Even if I'm just reaching out to, one person, if I touch one person, that's enough. I don't do this for finance, for prestige, or for anything in that sense. I do this because I want to live a spiritual life and I want to be content and happy with who I am. So my relationships, my coworkers, the people that I work with, my network, it's a beautiful thing. It's almost like a masterpiece, the way things are. And I couldn't ask for anything better. Even like my relationship with my past relationships, if I will, my ex-girlfriends and all these things, those are all mended. Everything's copacetic. Everything's good. It's a beautiful thing that has happened. And I got that through the Anaheim Lighthouse. That's something that I got through the fellowship. That's something I got through my peers, through people like you, helping me out. That's something that I've seen. And there's a beauty in that. And when you start to see that beauty, right, you don't want to stop. Right. There's no way you would stop. Right? You're learning how to deal with people in your life leaving. Right? How do you deal with that thing? You're learning those things. You're learning how to deal with death.
Like healthy detachment.
Yeah. Right? Those are things that I could never. I never knew that I could actually be in those situations where I got to a state of mind where I can be accepting of things. And that's another thing too, is acceptance. Acceptance is so important. Right?
Acceptance and just learning how to cope with life.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing that I've gained from treatment myself. Okay, so what advice would you give to somebody who's currently struggling with an addiction?
The advice that I would give to someone currently struggling with addiction, I would say just to hang in there. Honestly, that's the only thing that you can do, is just hang in there and realize that there's people out there that are suffering too, that you are not alone, that you are not the only one, that if you were to reach out, I guarantee somebody will help you. There are millions and millions of people suffering from drug addiction, and not just in America, worldwide. There are places where they don't have treatment. So just realize that there's a solution here, and there's people wanting and willing to help you. So if you feel like you're down and out and nothing's going to change, our feelings are fleeting. Everything temporary. I'll feel one way one day, the next day I'll feel another way. If you just hang in there and you have a little bit of willingness, it's just enough to want to change, then I promise you everything will be taken care of. If you just let go, let God, and don't be scared to use the F word, and that word is faith, I guarantee you things will start to change.
Yeah, and that willingness, you just need a little bit of that willingness to pick up the phone and call, a treatment center.
Treatment center, yeah.
You can call us the Lighthouse, and we can be the catalyst of change for your life.
Completely.
Like how we were for Charles, and look how amazing that he's doing.
I don't think I'm that amazing.
Well, like we said earlier, I mean, success is subjective.
It's subjective, completely.
It's very subjective, but from an objective point of view, I think that you've done amazing in your recovery.
Thank you.
The fact that you can be a beacon of light and hope to other struggling addicts in recovery, and you are constantly reaching out your hand and being of service, and just being the best you to your full potential. I consider that success.
Thank you.
So, and if he is not a testament of success, I don't know what it is. If
I don't
this
feel
is
like
not a testimony of success in recovery, I don't know what it is.
Here's the thing. There's still a lot of work to be done. That's all there is. It's constant. It's constant. Getting what's the next level?
What is the next level?
What's the next level? What is it for me in the future? I don't know, but I know that if I continue to be on this path, then many avenues will unfold. So,
well, we have Christina joining in. Hey, Christina, and hi, Bridia. Christina says, "Nice, so inspiring." I am so happy that somebody is inspired by this talk show. That's really awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining in. Yeah, so I'm just going to ask you maybe 2 more questions.
Okay, shoot.
What advice would you give to family members who have an addicted loved one?
Always show that you care, that you're supportive. You know, that's something that's really important. I know as a client, clients, and even for myself, sometimes early in the recovery, they just want to make sure that they're heard. Right? That's really important. Make sure that you're hearing them and not just telling them what to do or what they are. Make sure that their emotions are validated because they're struggling at that time. And another thing too is if your child or your son or your daughter is completely relentless and not wanting to change, then you got to cut that off completely.
Set boundaries.
Yeah, you got to set that. You got to set that boundary.
Set firm boundaries.
Yeah.
Show some tough love.
Yeah. So I would say it's tough love. That's something that my parents did for me as well as numerous friends.
Yeah.
You have to let them know, look, we don't want you a part of our life if this is going to continue because it's only damaging us.
And they don't want to see you continue to just spiral down that road and hurt yourself because it's hurting them as well.
Yeah, but I would say support, complete support. If they come to you and they say they have a problem or you're noticing something like that, just show support that you care and that you're willing to help them. That's all they really need at that point, because addiction is a disease, right? It's something that it has to start from the beginning, and it's something that doesn't ever go away. So they need to make sure that they're supported all the way through. So if you're continuously angry at them about past stuff, just realize that people are suffering. Your son or your daughter is suffering. There's something that they're going through. Make sure that they have that support, because I know a lot of times some people just don't have that. So they have to have a new support network, and that's through fellowship. That's through meeting new friends. So as far as friends and family go, just make sure that you're there for them. That's what I would say.
And sometimes support means offering them the option of going into detox or treatment.
Completely. I completely agree with that.
And it might just change your life. So definitely seek into that. Do a lot of research, and maybe they'll be open to the idea. And I think it might be the change that they need in their life.
Right.
And ultimately
I completely agree with that, yeah.
There's a ripple effect, and it will heal the family like it did with Chuck. It's definitely been beneficial to my relationships and my own recovery. There's one more question before we go. So what do you see for yourself in the future?
What do I see for myself in the future? Honestly, it's unlimited for me right now. It's almost endless. I don't really want to, the thing is if I can keep continuing to educate myself, if I can keep getting around to where it's better, and I keep just on this path that I'm on where I'm passionate, and I mean passionate being having a strong emotion towards something. I have a strong emotion towards helping people and towards giving back. I think I'll be rewarded, and my end goal, my outcome, whatever that may be, right, in the future, still to continue what I'm doing on another level, or helping out people wherever they're in need. I don't know. There's so many different avenues that I can venture off. And that's the thing. As soon as the drugs and alcohol are gone, right, and you have that thing that you're passionate about, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be working in treatment like I'm doing. It can be making cheesecake somewhere. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you're passionate about that, the rewards will always happen. But you have to find that thing that you're passionate about. You have to find that thing that you want to do, where you wake up in the morning and you just take life by the horns and really challenge yourself and go through those certain things. So the way that I see myself in the future is, I don't know. I'm an addict and I'm an alcoholic. Honestly, I could go out tomorrow. Who knows? That's the thing. I just got to make sure that I'm working a spiritual program and I'm continuously accountable, that I'm continuing acceptance, and I have continuous humility within myself. And avenues will start to open. That's all it really is. So
that's a really great way to summarize our discussion for today. So like earlier I was saying, the topic was how to be successful in your recovery after you leave treatment, and we were here with Chuck. Chuck, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah, and we are here every Thursday at 3 p.m. on Facebook.com/Lighthouse Treatment. My name is Joe. I'm your host for today, and thank you so much for joining us.